Eggs are nature's multivitamin. They're packed with protein, high quality fat, and a ton of micronutrients to help you feel your best. And for such an important food item, there are a lot of sneaky things that you have to watch out for when you're buying eggs. These buying mistakes could lower the overall quality of the eggs that you're getting. It could even lead to foodborne illnesses, or it could just simply rob you of a lot of money. So today I'm sharing 9 egg buying mistakes to avoid so that you can get the highest quality eggs without risking your health or paying exorbitantly priced eggs. Yes, that was a dad joke. Anyway, let's dive into it. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance, and today's video is sponsored by Gem. More on them in a bit. Okay, the first thing to look out for is really basic, but I see a lot of people make this mistake, and it's cracked eggs. I cannot tell you how many times I see people at the grocery store just grab a carton of eggs without looking inside and just take it to the checkout, which is absolutely wild to me because almost every time I pick up a carton of eggs, at least one of the eggs are cracked. Eggs are really fragile. They're easily broken in transport. You want to make sure that the eggs you're getting are not cracked, not only because it's obviously a waste of money, but also it could increase the risk of foodborne illness. So I always make sure to do a quick check. What I do is I just lift open the top, and instead of just looking at it, you also want to make sure that you're doing like this light grab on each of the eggs. You just do a quick light pull down, and what I'm checking for is make sure that the eggs are not sticking to the bottom of the carton, because if they are, then that's a sign that they've cracked somewhere within the eggs and it's leaked down to the bottom, and now the inside of the egg is sticking and dried to the bottom. So if it releases really easily, then you know that you probably don't have a cracked egg. Okay, the second thing you really need to know is that brown or white eggs, it really doesn't matter. People for a really long time believed that white eggs were not as healthy as brown eggs. I think it comes back to the idea of like whole wheat and white bread, and that whole wheat is healthier, so anything that's like brown must be healthier. But if you've owned chickens, you know that this is not the case, because the color of the egg has nothing to do with the nutrient quality of the egg. It comes down with the breed of chicken that you have. Like for example, I have chickens right now. I have 2 chickens that are Easter eggers, which means that they produce eggs that are bluish green. And then I have a couple other breeds that produce eggs ranging from a really light brown to more of like a moderately dark brown. And there is no nutritional difference between each of those. Yes, it is pretty to have like the array of different eggs in your egg basket, but if you're at the grocery store and if you're trying to decide like, should I get the white eggs, should I get the brown eggs, or should I get these like true blue eggs that are a lot more expensive, really, it doesn't matter. Okay, the third mistake is buying egg whites. People often buy egg whites because obviously it's more convenient if you are only having egg whites to get them already yolk removed. They also think that it's going to be a healthier option because it's higher in protein, it has a lot less cholesterol and a lot less fat. But by choosing just the egg whites, you're actually missing out on a lot of the health benefits, because most of the benefits are going to be in the yolk. By removing the yolk, you're missing out on vitamin A, you're missing out on choline, and a lot of other micronutrients that actually make an egg healthy. Plus, people used to be concerned about cholesterol and the cholesterol in their food, but even the 2015 dietary guidelines for Americans found that there should not be a limit or a cap on the cholesterol that we're eating, because the cholesterol that we eat actually doesn't have an impact on our blood cholesterol. One more okay reason in my mind why you might want to buy egg whites is if you're going to be mixing a little bit of egg whites with your whole egg to bring up the overall protein content of your meal while still having the egg yolks for the nutritious quality. Which, speaking of really important whole foods that are micronutrient dense, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Gem. Gem is a really cool whole food multivitamin supplement, and typically I'm not a fan of most multivitamin brands because they use low quality ingredients or fillers, or they're not in their bioavailable forms. But I was really impressed by Gem for using whole food ingredients while still covering so many nutritional bases. And it actually tastes so good. I legitimately look forward to taking it. It's slightly tangy, a little bit sweet. I take mine with breakfast, 1 per day, but Gem also has a chill out magnesium bite that I've loved taking too. It has magnesium and L-theanine, which works really well for my body to reduce anxiety levels and make me feel more calm when I'm a bit stressed. Gem believes in eating vitamins the way nature intended. Each of their multivitamin bites are packed with over 20 whole food vitamins, minerals, superfoods, prebiotics, and probiotics to help fill the gaps in daily nutrition. I love that Gem is a chewable vitamin made from whole food ingredients like fermented chickpeas for vitamin K2, quinoa sprouts for B vitamins, turmeric for inflammation, and pumpkin seeds and trace minerals for zinc. Gem takes a holistic approach to health and uses whole food ingredients that work best together to be best absorbed by the body. It tastes great and makes taking a daily supplement so easy to remember and actually enjoyable. And right now for my community, Gem is offering 50% off your first month. So make sure to head over to dailygem.com/autumnbates and use my code autumnbates at checkout so you don't miss out on the discount. I'll also have it linked down in the description below. Okay, the fourth mistake is buying vegetarian fed fed eggs. I'm not even sure why this one ever became popular. I think it's because it might appear healthier or more sustainable, but really all this means is that the chickens are purely fed a feed that contains like soybeans, corn, barley, wheat, and some other grains. But chickens are omnivorous, which means that they are not meant to be on a vegetarian diet. Again, if you've ever owned chickens before, or if you've ever seen them out and about, you see them like absolutely attack any bug that they can get their hands on. For chickens, a more balanced, nutritious meal is going to be an omnivorous diet, not having a vegetarian diet. This is why I never buy eggs that say that they are vegetarian fed. Okay, the fifth mistake is buying like those really small cartons of eggs. My philosophy with eggs is buy big and save money. Because according to the USDA, eggs last anywhere between 3 to 5 weeks in the fridge, which is kind of a long time. And buying larger quantities like a dozen or even 2 dozen or like those 18 packers, that can not only help you to save money, but also ensure that you actually have a high quality protein in your fridge at all times. Like in our house, we go through a lot of eggs. So we buy like an unreasonable amount of eggs. Typically, I'll buy those 24 packs and I usually buy like 2 to 3 of them at a time. We go through a lot of eggs. Okay, the sixth mistake is not knowing which labels actually apply to you and your needs. I think the world of chickens and eggs is probably the most confusing when it comes to labeling. There's cage-free, there's free range, there's pasture-raised, organic, like obviously all of these different things. But I want to hone in specifically on that cage-free, free range, and pasture-raised. Because specifically for chickens, it can get really blurry. A lot of people see pasture-raised and free range and they assume that pasture-raised means that they're like just living on a pasture. But when you actually look at the USDA definition, there isn't truly a pasture-raised definition. It just needs to follow the free range guidelines. And eggs labeled pasture-raised can tend to be a lot more expensive. And this is because true pasture-raised hens are going to cost more to maintain, but they do tend to get more nutritionally diverse food. They get exposure to sun. It is going to be more humane. And there are going to be some brands that actually are truly pasture-raised. Although because of the labeling, it does make it hard to actually decipher who is truly pasture-raised with their chickens and who isn't. So unless you're actually buying it from a farmer that you know and you know that they are doing the proper pasture raising practices, then even just getting free range is probably going to be the same thing. And you're not going to be paying the extra amount for the term pasture raised. But if true pasture raised chickens and eggs is actually important, there are some brands that are doing that very well. For actual chicken meat, Pasture Bird is a really cool brand who's doing that well. And then of course, shopping at farmers market, you can usually find some type of pasture raised eggs. But if you're on a budget, free range is still a good option. Just make sure that you're actually picking according to your budget as well as your values. Okay, the seventh mistake is not keeping in the fridge. Most people are buying their eggs from the grocery store. If that's the case, you absolutely need to keep your eggs in the fridge. Now, if you have backyard chickens or if you're buying it from a local farm, you can likely get away with keeping your eggs out on the counter for at least a week. And that's because eggs naturally have this bloom on it. It's this thin covering that's on the eggs that helps to protect the eggs from bacteria. However, eggs sold at the grocery store have to undergo this type of washing that washes off the bloom and makes it so that bacteria can actually get into the eggs if left out at room temperature. So if you are buying eggs at the grocery store, make sure you put it in the fridge. Okay, the eighth isn't really like a mistake, but it's something that you could look out for, and it's the term omega-3 enriched. Now, omega-3 enriched means that eggs will have a little bit more of the omega-3 fatty acids, which can have some heart health benefits. And typically these eggs get that little boost of omega-3 from the hens getting fed flax seeds. But it is important to note that eating eggs with this omega-3 enrichment is nowhere close to eating actual fatty fish. It's estimated that eating 2 of these omega-3 enriched eggs only has about 1/6 of the amount of omega-3s that a 4-ounce serving of salmon has. So you could use it, but just don't expect to be getting all your omega-3 potential from just a couple eggs. Okay, the 9th mistake is using egg alternatives. Now, typically most people are using these egg alternatives are plant-based or they are allergic. And although these can be convenient, they're nowhere close to being nutritionally the same. In fact, they do have some questionable ingredients in them. Yes, typically these egg alternatives are going to have some protein. They use a mung bean protein for that protein bump, which mung beans in general, great option. I actually don't have an issue with that. But then the next ingredient is often canola oil. There's also going to be various additives in there. And my concern with egg alternatives is that eggs in general are usually going to be eaten as the main meal itself, which means that if you're using these egg alternatives, it's probably to replace the main portion of the meal. So you're replacing a really nutrient dense food with something that is very, very nutrient poor. It's one reason why when I make like a protein smoothie with our protein powder, I never just have the protein powder itself, because yes, it does provide the protein, which is so important for achieving a body recomposition goal and for feeling full and satisfied. But I also make sure to balance it with other whole food ingredients, like using skyr yogurt or chia seeds for some fiber or some whole fruit. But these egg alternatives eaten as just eggs are typically just eaten on their own. Instead, if you are allergic or if you are plant plant-based, a much better alternative would be having something like scrambled mashed chickpeas and tempeh, or having something entirely different like a yogurt bowl or skyr yogurt bowl if you are allergic to eggs, or if you are plant-based, a plant-based yogurt bowl, and then loading it up with high quality toppings. In fact, speaking of nutrient-dense protein-packed smoothies, you have to check out my all-time favorite post-workout smoothie recipe with this video next. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.